All right, ladies and gentlemen, super excited to bring you episode 37 of the Check the Wire podcast. And it's a very special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, filling in for Ryan, Gary, Anthony Letourneau, the one, the only Pestilly. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Living the dream. How you going, dude?
Dude, I'm excellent, man. Super excited to bring you here because, you know, and I don't want to jump right into it, but like you've been very diligent.
Crack straight into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the soundboard. I use it from time to time, but you know, you've worked really hard and you've had a lot of success. But everything that we look at, or I've looked at with you, is like, I know you know what you're doing, or at least testing stuff. But before we jump into that, for someone that's never heard of you before, can you tell people what you do online and what they could expect from you?
So I started content creation about 3 years ago. I'll give you the real nitty gritty, the easy stuff. And I did a bit of a hobby, but then I realized that people actually really enjoyed watching me. So I took it really serious, and I built a bit of a structure on how I wanted to run my content. And I worked really, really hard, long hours, nearly no days off, and built what I would call a very successful content creation business career. And I love it. It's heaps of fun.
So you talk about structure. So you went into this, like when you realized, hey, this could be more than a hobby or fun things, you said you deliberately said structure. What did that structure look like to you when you started? Like, I don't want to say take it serious, but kind of take it.
No, when I started taking it serious, the first year I did six days a week, 8 hours a day streaming. And then I was aiming to put out 5 YouTube videos a week. So generally that, because I hadn't made YouTube videos before, it started off me learning how to make YouTube videos. And it was about 3 to 8 hours a night I'd spend in Adobe making YouTube videos. And they weren't very successful. But that was all part of building up the tools to make successful videos eventually.
When you say they weren't successful, the time you spent learning Adobe, what kind of videos were you putting on your channel that weren't working out?
I mostly just put out guides for Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov, but I did put out a small amount of highlights. I tried some really funny random stuff too, but it was mostly just getting that tool base, that structure of how to make a video and what worked and what didn't. And there was a lot of trial and error with the YouTube side of things, and same with streaming. But every time you do something, it's all about a lesson learned and improving your skill and your craft.
So for you, because when you think of like, and I remember like early days, I remember seeing like the light green text show up in my YouTube feed. And then like it just kind of like kept showing up in the Tarkov videos with this light green text, which it's like aqua or whatever color you want to call it. I started associating that to you. But and when I think about your early videos, I think of like these very successful guides. But you're saying they didn't start out like that.
Nope. Took me about, I don't know how many exactly, but it was about 3 months. So let's say about 60 to 80 videos I had to make before one of them really got any traction. And the first one that did get traction was a guide that was that no one really knew much about. And then Deadly Slob, another content creator, he made the exact same video like 3 days later, and it killed my video. And I was so devastated. I'm like, there's no way he copied it. And then I looked at it and I was like, dude, he's copying my video. But if you did the math, like what he did the research on the video, like it was evident he just done his research and it came out the same results. But yeah, and then probably a couple of weeks later, a patch hit, and then I started putting out guides for all the new content, and I had it out before everyone else, and then it started taking off really quickly.
Can we talk about that real quick? Because you know, you and I both know Deadly is just like a great guy, right? You know, and in this, and I feel like,
me Tarkov.
What's that?
He taught me Tarkov, 100%.
And same with me. But you talk about like this mindset of competition in YouTube and Twitch. And like, what's your take on that? Because clearly you could have taken that one or two ways really hardly, and it sounds like you chose a path. So
I see competition very differently to, I think, the majority. I don't see it as competition. I see it as a place that if we all are successful, we all make more money, we all grow more, we all have a better time. So instead of pushing everyone else down so you can go up, push everyone else up so everyone goes up together. You know what I mean? So a perfect example is stuff like, you know, the Tarkov Punisher tournament that we both, you know, were taking part of hosting. Like, as a financial thing, that was probably just slightly less financial money made than a normal stream. Actually, I'm fairly confident I made a fair bit less than a normal stream, but everyone had a great time. It promoted the Tarkov community. They discovered new streamers, and it just made everyone feel better about Tarkov. Therefore, it makes everyone more happier and everyone more successful. Therefore, the category has more viewers, and therefore, it grows the actual category. That's a perfect example. I remember for a long time, like I used to, and I still do it a little bit. It's like when someone hosts me, I'm like, guys, make sure you go give them a follow, check them out. If you enjoy their stuff, hang out there more often. Support the streamers that support me and the Tarkov community, because then we're all better off. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you and I share a very similar mindset to that. Is that the way I look at it, there's enough for everyone to be successful. But the thing is, you could have taken that the other way and be like, oh, Deadly Slob, stole from me, da da da. But and it's interesting that Tarkov community is like the inverse of that for such a hardcore game. Like, what's your take on the Tarkov community in terms of collaborations and things like that?
I think we have a common enemy. It's always easier. Like if you both hate your parents, like you and your brother hate your parents, it's like, yeah, we'll get them one day. Like our enemy is Tarkov, and we all want to get past it, So the common enemy kind of thing helps out a fair bit. But I think a little bit older demographic makes it a little bit easier as well. The majority of people are a lot more mature. Majority.
No, there's something to that for sure. I want to double back though, because you said when we had a really good guide video, and then Deadly Slob dropped a similar video and it kind of crushed your video. But then number one, you didn't give up. And number two, you said something. You said you ended up being the first to put out a lot of new guides for the new patch when it came out. So at that point, like, what made you do that?
My theory was to make better guides than everyone else from the start. But I didn't have the skills to do that. So I had the knowledge, I just didn't have the skills to make the guides look better. So over time, it was always like every time I made a new YouTube video, it was like, how do I make this video better than the last one? What do I do? And like I might tweak my intro or make my intro better, or just use better animations or transitions, and then just slowly just make it better. It's never anything too fancy. Just, my audio sounds a little bit scuffed. Maybe make the microphone sit in a better position. Like always just trying to improve it. So then by the time that stuff did get a little bit more traction, people were going to not be deterred away by the actual production of it, and then hooked in by the content. So for me, high production value, to the point content with as much detail as you can without wasting people's time.
Got it. And so now, I mean, for people that don't know, Pestilly is like the beacon in the community, right? If you want to learn something, if you want to see high level play, like you watch him. But it wasn't just an accident that he got there. So now let's talk about your YouTube channel now, because from my understanding, like you're a little bit more hands off now. Can you talk about when you got to the point where you're like, I can start, having someone else do this or hire someone to do this?
In hindsight, I probably was at the point of hiring staff about 12 months into taking it seriously. But it was still a very new world to me, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do and all that. I made my first 500 YouTube videos, and that was up until about March, April this year, about the 2-year mark. And now I've made another 400 videos since then. So I brought on 2 editors and what I call my meme guy. He makes memes for me, but he does videos as well. It's made my intros and stuff. But I think we've just hit 9 staff, including my wife and I, either full-time or part-time involved. Outsourcing is the gem. Like, honestly, like I was actually thinking about it yesterday. I spoke to my wife about it. I'm like, this is the first time ever where I felt on top of everything. Like I'm jinxing it by saying it, but I've always felt like I'm trying to get up to date or keep ahead of everything. Like outsourcing was probably something I should have done a lot earlier. I've got the knowledge of videos, and I should have taken the advantage of people who are highly skilled in editing and then put those two together instead of me trying to do everything.
What you said, you feel like you're caught up now. What gives you that feeling that you're caught up and now that you can, I don't want to say put words in your mouth, but breathe for a second?
I've got really good scheduling. I've got everything scheduled very well. I've got people on top of anything that might go wrong. And I feel like the community is strong. I love my community. And I could take a month off and I think I wouldn't even have any issues coming back. And so all my content scheduled up. I've got YouTube videos for the next 2 weeks being made or scheduled already. I've got, a plan in place for the next 2 weeks, and I'm about to take a week off, and I can be like, it's going to be sweet during that time. I can just focus on actually enjoying my time off. The only other time I've been able to do that was my honeymoon, and I think about day 4 of the honeymoon, I had that itch where I was like, I need to go back to work. It's time to go back to work.
So you talk about like the next 2 weeks of videos are scheduled out. Like that just doesn't happen. Can you talk about the execution behind that of like, all right, hey, I know I'm going to be gone for these 2 weeks. How involved are you? Are you saying, hey, editor 1, these videos need to be done, or what is your process like?
I use a schedule. I use like a project management software. I used to use Trello. I just switched over to Monday, where I pretty much have a description. I have a video, a date I want it posted, and a description in there, and I use a Google Drive to upload all the data. So they have a folder for each video that they're going to make, a description of what I need to have done, and they know the process by now. So it's very automated. Like they want to make it at 3 a.m. They can make it at 3 a.m. if they want to do it. I don't care on that side. And yeah, I just write up all my videos on what I want to do. And then a really cool thing that I think people don't take enough advantage of is a thing called replay buffer. So in OBS, you can set it to a key. It's like shadow play, and there's a lot of other programs that do it, where you literally just press a key on your keyboard and it will record the last X amount of seconds or minutes and just put it into a folder. So what I do is I have the last, I think it's 90 seconds or 2 minutes, and then just say like a good play goes down. I'll wait until I'll press the replay buffer after I kill the person. Then after I finish looting the person, I press the replay buffer again. Then they've got like, I don't know, 2-ish minutes, maybe 4 minutes of content. And then that can be a part of a highlight video. So then at the end of a stream, I've got like 15, highlights. They just go upload it into the drive, and then the editors go, which ones are the good ones for a highlight video? Because some are trash. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is going to lead into something good. Press the button, and then it's like, and I'm dead. I was like, damn it.
So to get like super granular, so you have that, and then for the other videos, is that how you get all your content from Twitch to YouTube, or do they sometimes rip VODs, or do you record the VODs locally? What's your process for that?
I have ripped VODs in the past. I hate the quality. The DMCA issues going on at the moment have pushed me towards the conclusion that I'm going to actually record all my streams and back them up, and then not have VODs on Twitch, but make a new YouTube channel called Pestily VODs. The channel's made. It's just I don't have the upload speed while in transit to put all the VODs up. So eventually I'll have them all backed up. But the way it'll work is just after every stream, I'll just upload the VOD of the stream straight to YouTube, and it'll be at 1440p with 60k bitrate quality, so people can watch it at really good quality, and the editors can use those to make videos if they want as well.
Got it. So for you, when you look at 2 weeks out, what does your YouTube schedule look like? Monday through Monday. Like, is it 1 video day? Is it 2 video days? What's your approach to looking at those 2 weeks?
Up until tomorrow, somewhere around now, I've done 2 videos a day. So the way it works is Monday to 7 days a week, same time every day, highlight video goes out. We're good with that. We're well ahead on that. We're actually going really well. Then Monday to Friday was my raid series. So that was a full playthrough of Escape from Tarkov off stream. And that was made purely for an educational purpose to new people to Tarkov to see how to play the game, but they can watch it in their own time. They don't have to watch it, live on stream. And that was like really informative but in depth. Like they were like 4 to 5 hours of edit for my editors, just for that. And then obviously the recording time and all that for me, and then making sure it's all good. So they were very involved. So that was Monday to Friday. So that put us at 12 videos a week. Then on Saturday and Sunday, I would try and put out guides. So I think we're just going to move to the 7 days a week highlights and just 2 guides a week now. Probably 1 on the weekend and 1 in the middle of the week until the next season of the raid series.
So for you, and this is a lot for someone that may have just like kind of glossed over it or like don't understand what's going on. So you're streaming all the time, and then when you're off, you're recording in another series of more Tarkov, right? Yep. Which is completely, you can only watch it on YouTube. So in terms of some of these days between Twitch on a day that you're recording a raid with Twitch, how many hours are you like on camera?
Twitch is usually 200 hours a month, which brings out to be about 8 hours a day. Sometimes I do longer days, sometimes I do shorter days, and I'll take a day off every now and then. Not very much. I'm going to move a little bit more to having a day off a week. Go back to that 1 day off a week. But 200 hours a month of Twitch, and then usually raid episodes. There's 20 raid episodes. There's another 20 hours of recording plus any guides on top. I probably do 240 a month of filming and streaming, and then that's not getting into the administration side, which I know you know.
So
there's a lot involved.
So you talked about having 9 people on staff. You said you have 2 editors. You have your meme guy. Who else is a part of your team that helps you out, and what is kind of their capacity?
I've got two people I've only just brought on as part-time, but I've got my wife, who's the boss. She manages everyone. She makes sure everything's happening, which is super good to have. Someone who just overwatches everything to make sure it's all running smooth. So that's probably the most important role, believe it or not. I've got a get shit done person. So a person that literally just, hey, I need to know about this. Can you find out? And he's like, yep. So he's my get shit done person.
What would be like an example of something you ask him to do? Like, just could be random.
I'm moving back to Australia. All my stuff's in Europe. Get my stuff back to Australia.
Okay.
Like, imagine how much time and effort it takes you to find a removal company, get the quotes from multiple, figure out what the insurances are like, all that. He did all that. I literally just got two or three different examples, and he goes, which one do I want to use? And then we booked it in. That's it. That's all I had to do. But that was so much stress taken off me. Like, and when I'm focusing on one thing, that having someone that can just do that stuff, lifesaver.
No, that's awesome. Because essentially, your time is best well spent on camera. Anything else outside of that is, I don't want to say a waste of your time, but it's not what. Is that how you look at it? Or I don't want to put words.
100%. 100%. My job should be making content, nothing else. I literally should not have to do anything else besides get in front of the camera, film, entertain, and have a blast. Anytime that other stuff stresses me, it reduces the impact of all the content creation side, all the other stuff I'm doing. So personally, I just want to, stream and make videos.
Yeah, which like you want to set it up like I'm making an assumption what most people maybe think what Twitch is like. You just show up, you stream, and then you walk away. That's like what you're trying to build to, right? And it seemed like there's been so many moving parts even for you to get to this point. And in terms of like your hiring process, right? So you have 2 editors who are really good. I've seen your meme videos, which are really good. Sometimes there's like a modem sound over a scab with like the circle. I mean, they're great. But how did you get to find those people and be like, hey, I trust this person, and kind of give them the keys to the castle?
The first ones mostly came from moderators. So people who've been around the stream a long time, some of them years. And so like I've got a paid moderator, for example. And he helps out with anything stream related, so scheduling and getting people on the stream or duos and all that stuff. Anything that's going to happen that's stream related, he helps out with making sure all the notifications, like exclamation mark, I don't know, new is like updated and all that stuff. He does all that, so it's really good. But they're the easy ones to find because they care. They've been around that long. No one sticks around a stream for that much hours if they don't care. And then the editors I found on Twitter, I did actually just a tweet and said, hey, if you know anyone, get them to fill out this Google form. And then I had the Google form and there was like 170 applications for editors. And then I was like, get shit done person, give me a short list. And then I got like a 10 or 15 person short list. And then I went through the short list and I went, yep. These 3 I want to interview. And that's what I did. I interviewed them just like a normal job. I did an interview, figured out which ones that had the skills I wanted. And then I got them all to do an example video, paid for it, 100% paid for that video. And then, then we made the...
Did knowledge of Tarkov play a role in that application process?
One person had never played the game before.
That you end up hiring?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So
his skill set was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Awesome. So, okay. So now you have this team in place, and now as you move forward, are there any areas right now of, I don't want to say inefficiencies, but areas of like, all right, hey, the next big move, or this is what I'm looking to do next, or do you feel pretty good moving forward?
I feel good moving forward on the gaming side. I know like eventually Tarkov's going to die, but my community is very strong with me playing games like Squad or Rust or all these other games. They enjoy me playing it. So that I know a lot of people are like, oh, you should do more variety. I'm like, I'll just do what I feel like, and if people watch it, sweet. I'm pretty good with that. It's a pretty lucky position to be in. Like, yeah, numbers will be down, but overall, I'll still be very successful with that. The drive for me now is, how do I branch out of gaming? So a lot of people were like, I'm gonna, like, become the next streamer in this category. I don't want that. I don't want to have that pressure. A lot of people are worried about their game dying. I don't want that pressure. If I have a stream based off me being me doing whatever I want to do, then I don't have to worry about any of that. I just have to worry about being the best me I can be. I know that sounds a bit weird. But so for me, I'll be going fishing. I'll do my first fishing stream in a long time. I think it's in about 3 days' time. And that's just with an IRL backpack. Those like gun runner backpacks that people wear. I'm just going to be doing one of them. I think we're doing a bit of four-wheel driving as well on the stream, and some outdoor stuff. And then from there, I'm going to I've got a few things in play. One's going to be getting a full fishing jet ski. So I'm going to have two different fishing vehicles. One will be a fishing jet ski, which I will just have an IRL backpack hidden away inside the jet ski in a waterproof container. This is my theory, at least. I've got to still get it all working. But and if I just want to go out for a few hours fishing and stream it, I can. And then I'm going to have a full pimped out boat with full production value, like those fishing TV shows. It's going to be like that, but on Twitch. So I'll be on a person who drives the boat and handles the camera work, and then I'll literally just be on the boat fishing, and it'll be a full pimped out boat with cameras. I'm going to have a fish finder camera. I've got it all planned, and we'll just go out for the day. It'll be a full day stream, and it should be really fun. I'm really excited for it.
So you talk about branching out. Clearly, fishing is one of your passions and something you want to do. And I noticed you started another YouTube channel, and it was Pestily Live, or was Pestily something
Unmasked.
about your real life? Yeah, Unmasked. So what is your plan for that? Because that's clearly a divergence from Pestily on Tarkov, Pestily's main channel, which is mainly Tarkov.
A lot of people focus on money. For me, it's not that way. It's for the Pestily on Mars channel is, I don't want to use this word because I feel it's lazy, but it's like a place for me to unwind, a bit of a mental health check for me. So if I want to talk about a topic, I've just got it in my brain. I want to talk about that topic, I could just put it there. If I want to just play around with something, like something creative, like I have this really cool idea. I don't want to tell people what it is because it's just so funny, but it's so stupid. Like, it's really stupid. I just want to put it there. It's just a place I could just dump whatever I want, creative-wise, thought-wise. I just put it up there. If people want to watch it, awesome. If they don't, I don't care, because that channel's purely there for me. It's not there to get views and be content creation for making money or anything like that. It's purely just an avenue for me to have fun and just focus on what I enjoy, being an idiot.
No, and that's interesting. I mean, that's what this podcast really has turned into on this side of things, is like, if you don't talk about this stuff, like sometimes you'll walk away from a podcast like this and you just feel better because, hey, you kind of get, like, I get what you're talking about. Because there isn't, I mean, in day-to-day life, you don't talk to that many streamers, like this, or people that are in your same boat. But I do want to
don't talk to that many people. Yeah. Like, I know there's chat, and it's not really the same. The conversation is very one directional. Like, I love talking to you. You're an amazing dude, and it's good just to have a conversation, like person to person, face. Like, this is as close we get to face a lot these days, but yeah, it's nice.
So I want to circle back because you said eventually, Tarkov will die, and you want the stream to have. You don't want to be the next whatever best FPS player, whatever next game comes out. You want it to be like a just you, right? So we have fishing. What does that look? What in your perfect streaming career? What does that look like to you?
I think everyone's dream as a content creator is to be like Code Carnage. I think where like you can kind of just do split streams like 5 to 6 hours a day, whatever game you want, and you got 10,000 viewers. Like, I don't want to be that big, honestly. Like, I'm happy. This is, you have like, a lot of
viewers. It's not arrogant.
I usually sit on like 6,000 to 10,000 depending on the time of the wipe. If it's after the wipe, it's 10,000 plus. But like, look, if I was sitting on 3,000 playing whatever game I wanted for the rest of my streaming career, I would have no complaints whatsoever. I know a lot of people that have been in my position would be like, no way. But really, like, streaming is at the moment, it's still a very new industry. And no one really understands how far you can go for how long. It's very mentally draining. It's very like hard on your mental health at times. I think the average streamer that I can tell that's very successful kind of burns out around the 5-year mark. And I'm trying to avoid just getting to the 5-year mark and going, I'm done. I'm done. Like I just want to be like, hey, I might dial it back a bit. Like I want to have kids one day. I want to leave the house one day. Like that's part of the fishing side of things. Be able to leave the house and enjoy doing the things I enjoy outside of playing computer games. Because yeah, it's sweet to play computer games for a living, but when you don't do anything else, you're not really living, you know?
Do you worry about like fishing, something you love? Do you worry about that? I don't want to say getting ruined because that's not the right word, but you know, by streaming
Turning
that,
into a job.
yeah. Do you worry about that at all? Or do you think that won't happen?
No, because I'm pretty, what's the word? If I wasn't enjoying it on stream, I'd literally just turn off the camera and go back to stream, just go back to fishing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If it's like, yeah, I'm a bit done for today, I'm like, boop. And then it's like, all right, now we just keep fishing. Like,
because when you were describing the fishing, you know, with the boat and the jet ski, like you lit up. You're like, I can tell for you, this is like kind of not the next Tarkov, but something that you're like, you put a lot of time into, you're really excited about, you think it'll be a new experience on Twitch. When you told me off camera, I'm like, of course, like you said, I'm fishing in a couple days. I'm going to watch that, you know, because like I like you, I know you, and I want to see what it's like because I know you're going to do a great job of it. But so for that, so you don't worry about that because you're just like, I'll turn it off.
I think it's people get really like, I don't want to talk for other people because like obviously I'm not them, but it's hard to distinguish. Like I know a lot of people say if you turn your hobby into a job, it's one of two things happens. You never work another day in your life, or it ruins your hobby. Like, but it's really like it's what you make of it. If you force it to be your job, then yeah, of course it's gonna feel like shit. But if you just go, hey, if it's going well, go with it. If it's not, pull the plug. Try something else. I think like we haven't really touched too much on creative side of streaming and content creation, which I know you wanted to, but like when you have an idea, you have to understand how far you can push that idea before you either say this is works, or it's going to work, or it's not working at all and I've got to stop it and go with something new. Like it's not as simple as just, you know, like you'll force it forever and it's gonna like, you know, it doesn't.
What's an example of something that you took a chance on that was creative that you wanted to work, that you pulled back and you're like, dude, this is not working. Let me do something else.
Ooh. So, okay, I'll use two examples. One was the hardcore series more recently. I was playing that and I was hating it. I was really not enjoying it. People were liking to watch it, which made me feel really weird because I'm like, is it because they like me hating my experience, or they just like the fact that I'm getting punished in the game? But I wasn't enjoying it and I decided to cancel it. And before I got to the objective that I wanted. And that's weird for me to do something like that. And most people were very receptive of it. And appreciative that I stopped it because I said it didn't look like I was enjoying it anyway. A better probably example is I look at some things as like time spent for value. And I made a thing called the Pews like ages ago. We're talking like, this is one of the first series of videos I made. It was called Pestily News and I called it the Pews. And it was about Tarkov news and my highlights. And it was just, I dressed up as a news anchor. Like it was like a lot of work. I got people's clips from, and I had imagery of people's pets from my Discord because I've got a pet love channel. And I made this like full news broadcast. I had like a ticker along the bottom. It was heaps of fun. It was a lot of time invested and nearly no one watched it. And I did it for like, I think I did about 15 episodes, like two seasons of it. And like it was like a lot of time and effort. I thought it was a really cool creative idea. It helped me increase my skill set, but it wasn't very successful. And so at that point, it didn't work. I think if I did it now, it'd probably work a lot better though.
When you canceled it, where did you have to get to the point after 2 seasons, 15 episodes in when you're like, all right, this is it. It's not working. Like, do you remember what told you that was enough?
It was just, it's like a time investment. Like, where would my time be better spent? I gave it a solid go. I tried to promote it as best as I could. Didn't really work too well, so I just pulled the plug, tried something new. I always think that of those really out there, crazy ideas, think of the most ridiculous out there idea you can think of, and then try and do it to the best of your ability.
So so when you do something like that where you're like, hey, you love this, it's amazing, and no one likes it, in your head, do you immediately fill it with something else creative, or do you double down on, like, so when that canceled, what did you do right after that? What did you fill with that creative spot?
Honestly, I can't remember because it's a couple of years back now. But generally, my process is I try and get any feedback I can on what would make it better. That hardcore series is a lot easier. As an example, right now, at the last episode, I spoke about and I said, can you guys give me any examples of how you think it might be better for next time? And then they gave me like hundreds and hundreds of comments. So it's I like to reflect on stuff, not as like, oh, it didn't work, it's fucking shit, never do it again. I'll just get feedback, reflect on it, and then improve it for next time if I'm going to.
No, and that
The
makes
perfect example is like the Tarkov Punisher tournament. Like that was very successful, but it's still, we got feedback. Like, how do we improve it? What's the best way of doing it? It's always working on improving your craft.
and for you, is it just when you see the same suggestion coming up and up again, is that what puts it to your forefront, or can there be something at the bottom of the comments and be like, you know what, that is a great idea? How do you decipher what to take in and what not?
Sometimes stuff is obvious by the amount of comments, and then sometimes you'll see a little hidden gem in the rough. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know you're going to ask me that question, but sometimes you see a little comment and it's like, that's actually a really good idea. You know, like, let's try that. I used to have a notebook and pen next to my desk at all times. Like anytime I was live, notebook and pen, and I physically wrote it down. Any improvements or like fixes I need to do my stream or any ideas, I'd put them down there. And then at the end of the stream and at the end of each week, I'd make sure it's all either done or documented somewhere. But always, it all comes back to always just trying to become better and better at what you do.
No, that's interesting. And there's two big things I wanted to circle back to, and they may seem a little disjointed, but just kind of like you said, I got my pad. When you're talking, like the same thing, it's I don't want to miss some of the stuff. You talked about how you see streamers like around the 5-year mark, they either burn out and say I'm done. And you talk about how streaming can be taxing on your mental health. Can you elaborate on that at all in terms of like how it's affected you or what you do to combat it, or things that you may deal with that people may not know about?
I'll bring up an example of Summit.
Mhm.
I don't want this to be like any diss against him. He's probably as a content creator, he's an amazing dude, and he's done such an amazing job to do what he's done. A few years back, he had a time where he got really burnt out because of Fortnite and how everyone was on the Fortnite train, and he hated it. And he tried other games, including Escape from Tarkov, and he just was hating what he did. He took some time off, and he just came back and he said, "I'm just going to do what I enjoy." If you Google or YouTube the Summit Effect, it's the thumbnail has the Summit Effect, but the actual title isn't that. And it's a really good video explaining about how people burn out, and then Summit did a really good job of turning that around. And he's now just doing what he's passionate about. And if people watch, awesome. If they don't watch, who cares? And now he's one of the most successful people on Twitch because it's just him having fun all day. Like he's just laughing, he's enjoying his experience. And that is contagious because people are having a good time. There's little subtle hints that I see from people. Summit made a tweet recently. He goes, I look forward to the day where I can actually live a normal life. You know, like, because it's like those kind of things that to me are telltale signs that, like, you know, he kind of just wishes one day that he will be able to just go, hey, I'm waking up today and I'm going to, you know, I don't know, do something besides play computer games. It sounds like the dream job, and it is at times. There's so many times where I'm like, this is so sick. But there are times where it's like, hey, I didn't get to go to this, like, I can't go visit my family sometimes because I'll lose like 4 days of streaming or a week because my family live in a different state. You know, and it's not just as easy as just going for a drive and then taking a day off or 4 days off. Because if you do it once or twice every now and then, that's fine. But if you want to like actually spend proper time away from a computer, it does make an effect on your stream. Like if I want to be more successful, I would literally just stream 8 hours a day every day, 2 YouTube videos a day, and I would just never do anything else for the rest of my life. But that's not as simple as it. It's not the best way of doing it. It's not great for your health, and
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, and on top of that, stories are better than anything you can do on stream. If you're if you have good stories to tell, it's so much better than any gameplay.
What do you mean by that? Like, just from, because you had a whole trip plan. Like, can you tell people what you had planned, and then you didn't go, woe was me, you adjusted, but you had this big, elaborate vacation slash stream experience planned. Can you tell people what that was? And
I'll give you, so the short is, in
yeah.
2012, I climbed the highest peak of Australia, which isn't that tall, and a heap of other like mountains around that area with my mate. And I said, this is amazing. I want to do more. So I looked up this guy who climbed the highest peak of every country of Europe, and he did it in 2.5 years, but he planned to do it in 6 months. I thought I could do it in 6 months. I'll do that. So I was going to do it in 2020, and then I started planning this trip to Europe, and it was still going to go ahead. We got to Europe in January this year. The plan changed from climbing the mountain to just go into every country. We had actually pretty well planned out. We'd get to about 45 of the 50 countries. So we were doing about 3 to 4 a month. And it didn't go to plan. But the coolest thing about that was so many people were invested in the story of what I wanted to do. They were like, oh, can you meet up in this country? I'm like, yeah, of course. Every country I'm going to do a meetup. Like, so I did like 2 meetups in the Netherlands, 2 in Portugal, 1 in France. You know, I went across to a PAX East in America. But like the ability to have stories to tell, it's like just so much better. Like as a streamer and that, like some people that haven't got any life experience can't really tell those stories. Whereas like I'm sure you've got so many stories from like your Big Brother experiences and just random life things or people you've met. You can't do that if you're just always in front of a computer.
Yeah, and so for you, like, what do you make sure, especially now because we're in such a unique time, right? Are there things that you make sure you do, not for content, for your show or for your stream, but are there things that you do on a weekly basis to just make sure to check that box for you internally to be like, I got to get out or I got to go do this?
Before COVID, I used to always walk my dog every day, even if it was just a 5-minute walk. I know it sounds like really like
I bet
basic,
you'd have stories about like, oh, you saw some crazy thing on your walk, or is that what it turned into?
Not really. It was more just like, for me, I like being outside, so I just make sure I leave the house every day, even if it's just a small trip. Other stuff is like, I love driving, so like I drive to like really random places, just like top of hills or like like when you see in the distance, like I wonder if there's a road up there, like I do that kind of stuff, or I don't know. I just try and do stuff that is the reminisces with me and makes me feel good. It's just always checking that mental health box.
Is there things like having been, because you streamed for a lot of hours, like a lot of time, and some may say not necessarily like a long period, like you get after it. I mean, you've had really long streams. You stream for 8+ hours a day, and there was like a crazy stretch where didn't you? I mean, I don't want to put the number out there, but you went really hard for a really long time. Not that you don't now, but
I think last year I streamed every day except for about 15 days. That was a lot of streaming. But that was because my plan was when I got to Europe, there'd be weeks off, like I'd be traveling. So that changed because of COVID. So I was like, make the most out of while it's good. So when I get to Europe, I got to make, it's going to be different. So, the craziest stuff I've done, stuff like, I think when drops hit in December, in that 1 week period, I streamed 127 hours. I don't know. There's like 170 hours in the week. So, it was a lot every day, except for like 4 to 5 hours a day I was streaming.
Yeah, and so you've been through this, right? You've been through kind of the gamut, and I'm just gonna say you're still standing. Like and I don't want to project. You seem like you're a very happy individual. You're very dialed in terms of understanding. Hey, this is good for me while streaming, and I need to do more of this to make things happier. Is there, for people that are watching or may watch this somewhere down the road, that's like, all right, hey, look, I really want to go hard at streaming, but I'm also concerned about what Pestilly is saying. What's something you can like tactically give some streamers to be like, hey, if you do these couple things, it's helped me and could probably help you, on a longevity.
All right, so I guess I'll break it out into a few stages because there's going to be people listening from different stages of their career. If you're just starting out, I would always suggest building a plan of how you're going to attack, being discoverable, being like putting out good content. So being creative, if you think of creative ways you can make good content to put out into the universe to be discovered, then you need to make that content discoverable. Now that goes across your entire career. If the earlier you can figure out how that works, the better. And so, yeah, if you have that crazy idea that's like, oh my God, how cool would it be if I did that? That's the idea you should be doing. All right. So many people will be like, that would be so cool to do, but they don't do it. And that's because either it's too hard or it's like too out there. Well, that's the ideas that haven't been done yet. So you should be doing those ideas. And the more creative you do, it's like a muscle. It'll just become, you'll have more and more creativity. So that's probably starting out. If you're in somewhere in that middle tier section, you're like, do I go full time? Do I not? What I would do if I had the choice, I was lucky because my wife worked full time, but I would take annual leave for a month and I would work like I would normally work for a month or slightly harder, and figure out what is the kind of growth I'd get for a month or how much money I'd make. So then that way you can figure out if you can transition across to full time instead of actually quitting your job and buying all this good gear and stuff. Like so many people are like, I'm going to quit my job and become a full-time streamer. I've sold all my stuff and I bought this gear. I'm like, the gear's not going to do anything for you. Like it's you that's going to do it for you. And then I think if you're somewhere in that full-time category and you're doing a one-man show, trying to figure out when's the best time to outsource. And it's not that expensive to get an editor, particularly if you're not doing lots of videos. And YouTube can kind of pay for itself. Mid-roll ads are not the devil. Like you have to pay your editors. So put a mid-roll ad in, pay your editors, and then it'll only make your channel better.
So I want to double back and I want to talk about specifically for you. So you'd said of like, all right, there's beginning stages. They're like, should I go full time? And there's full time. For you in your beginning stages, you had good content. It was becoming better and better through your skill. We talk about discoverability. What did you find? And I know it changes all the time, but back then, can you be like, all right, hey, this is what I knew was kind of the pipeline that led to discoverability?
So I used to say that Twitch is absolutely horrible for discoverability. It's absolutely horrible for discoverability if you're not at the top. Right? So like it's so the way Twitch works, it's just like all your social media platforms. If you are going to Twitch, what does Twitch as a company want you to do? They want you to stay on that platform for as long as possible. So what are they going to do? They're not going to put like Joe Blow with like a really pixelated green screen who's got bad audio and doesn't know what he's doing. They're not going to put him on the front page or at the top of a list. And so you click that guy and they're, oh, this is crap. And then you go to the next one, it's like, oh, this is crap. They're going to put the most entertaining, best people they can in front of them. So they'll have like the summits up there on the front page all the time. And they have all these really great content creators have all their stuff really well done because that's the people that keep them on the platform. So Twitch as a whole is actually a really discoverable platform for the people that are really good, but the people that are starting out, it's really difficult. So going out of Twitch to get discovered is actually really good. So the fact of like YouTube has a lot better algorithm for actually being discovered per se, for the fact that you can make a video and if it gets picked up by the algorithm, enough people click on it, enough people comment and like, that will get that growth happening. So you need to kind of push people around all these platforms. I don't want people, if you're listening to this podcast and you go, I want to be a streamer, I'm going to go to Twitch. Don't pay off the idea of Facebook. Right? Facebook, I've actually been thinking about more and more as a platform is actually a really good place for a streamer. Think about it. They've already got 2 billion people there. So if you have a good video or a good stream, or you put your videos up like a YouTube video and it gets trending, like that's extremely wide discoverability. I had like an Among Us video where Sequisha and I killed the entire other team in the first round, or except for one, and they got voted off. It was all over in the one round. That video got like, I don't know, I think it's like over 5 million views, and it's like shared like thousands and thousands
on Facebook.
Times. Yeah, and this wasn't on my channel. Someone asked me to put it on their channel. And I was like, yeah, just make sure there's a link to my YouTube video. So that's like something that people just don't think about. There is really good discoverability out there. You just need to work out how it works. So Facebook shouldn't be paid off. I think YouTube, if they fix their UI, that would be really good too. I'll talk to you later about it if you want, Dan. But I'm going to start putting more videos up on Facebook as well.
No, well, that's genius too. In my mind, we started talking about Facebook, and I thought about you fishing. I mean, and I don't want to, some people like are questionable on this, but you could promote that video to people who like fishing in Australia, people who like gaming, you know? I mean, there
Think of
is,
all the fishing groups. Think of the groups of like, you know, Kevin's mates fishing, but like it's true. Like there'll be like all these little random Facebook groups of fishing, and then they'll see this guy who's on a boat just fishing out in the middle of nowhere. Like, hey, have you seen this guy's video where he catches like a big snapper or something, like, or a barramundi? Like it's going to be like that. It's not just YouTube out there. People just think Facebook, YouTube. Like, you know, there's so much.
yeah. So
TikTok.
that's I'm a huge fan of TikTok, but for you were saying, all right, hey, look, there's stuff YouTube, but there's even stuff outside of that. I mean, and you got me thinking like Facebook, you know, it's probably what is
You would probably go a lot better on Facebook as well because people know who you are, right?
Yeah.
So people know you've been Big Brother. Like you've probably missed it a little bit, but like
I'll tell
they
you
would be like, I remember Dan, and Dan was like, you know, on Big Brother, and people on Facebook are a little bit older too, so it probably works to your favor too there. So then that way it's like, hey, you know, like Dan for Big Brother, he's got this funny video, like look at him being an idiot, like.
well, that's my take is like every, you know, a couple times a week someone will come in and be like, hey, I know you from Big Brother, but I didn't know you stream. And in my head I'm like, I've been streaming for 8 years, but I have not done a good enough job. And that's how I look at it. You know, there's still you can never reach everyone, you know, but you can always try. So for you, like Facebook is on your map, which is interesting, but even for anyone else, just you're saying put stuff in other places other than Twitch.
Yep.
And for you, you'd say your number one was YouTube to get people from.
YouTube was the main spot. I don't want to like diss Twitch. I love Twitch, but Twitch is a very unhealthy work life. If you can make it on YouTube, like this is like big picture stuff, right? But if you're starting out, you shouldn't be thinking about this stuff. Well, you could a little bit, but like the biggest streamers on Twitch probably make a couple of million a year. The biggest YouTubers are making tens of millions a year. Like we're talking potential. What's after 10 million? It's like 6, 7, 8, potentially 9 figures. Yeah, people could make on YouTube. It's like Mr. Beast would be probably pulling in 100 million a year soon. I'm not even bullshitting. I think.
And then, well, I'm waiting for the punchline. And I don't want to take your punchline away, but I'm gonna guess like, and they're doing. I don't want to assume this, but not as much work as someone who's live all the time on Twitch. Was that the punchline?
I think the creative side is definitely, it's probably harder on YouTube.
Yeah,
you have to really be creative, whereas it's easy to tell longer stories and just be yourself more on Twitch. But yeah, like I just think overall there's a lot more like big picture stuff that can go with YouTube, whereas Twitch is like you have to really work hard. Like the biggest streamers on Twitch are working minimum 250 hours just on streaming. Your Summits, your XQCs, Shrouds, all those guys they're not just sitting around doing nothing. They're grinding. It's called a grind for a reason. Like they're grinding away, working hard.
So for you, and if you could paint your perfect picture of where you're spending your time as we wrap things up here, if you're like, all right, hey Dan, in X amount of years from now or tomorrow, if this is what it looks like, this is what I would love to do in the perfect world. Like stream 2 hours, put up a YouTube video. What is that? And I guess just like word vomit. If you don't know, like what does it look like to you?
I don't want to like say that I'm gonna like just quit. I don't think I'll ever quit streaming. I think eventually I'll probably just dial it back to like 160 hours a month of actual streaming, so 40-hour weeks, you know, or maybe just under that, like 32-hour weeks. Do 4 days a week streaming, and then do like, you know, just some YouTube fun stuff. But perfect world, Dan, like I'd probably just start traveling the world again once it's open, and I'd just be like, hey Dan, you want to go fishing? We'll stream it. We'll do a podcast. You know, like I just want to just do that kind of stuff, just enjoy it. And then I think if we're like in people in really successful positions, if you're smart with your money, you can make it go a long way. And that's where the kind of path I want to go with. So for me, it's more about how do I use the money and success I've made so far to keep the longevity of what I want to do and just make it the most enjoyable experience for everyone. I want people to enjoy my experience just as much as I enjoy making it.
So for you, and it sounds like, hey, look, you're not necessarily trying to be number one on Twitch or number one on YouTube, but where can you find that dial of, hey, this is where I want to be that allows me to live X amount of life. Is that fair to say?
I actually said the other day to my wife, I'm like, I don't need to be any bigger anymore. Like I'm happy where I'm at. Like I don't want to be content with my content. I'm still always going to try and put out the best content I can. But like if my numbers never went higher than they are now, and I was just to like maintain this for a long time, even just still working in the same mountain, just putting out the quality content that I want to, I would have nothing to complain about. Like I'm not at that. I don't want to be the top. The top is like always like you got to really work for it. And I've worked hard to get to where I'm at.
You've worked your face off. You know, like I remember there's a time multiple times where
you left his hair, mate.
where you did like 0 to 40, right, in one stream, which is insane.
Twice in one stream.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I don't get to level 40 in an entire season of Tark. You know, like you do these incredible feats, and I think that, you know, people. I think when people think of you, they think of someone who works really hard, but also in a very smart way. And to you, like I look at you, I'm like, okay, you have this amazing community. You seem happy, and now it seems like, you know, because the last time we talked in this kind of setting, it was an interview before things had really, like the ball was rolling, but it's not like, you know, it wasn't like it is now. And now it's interesting to catch you at this point in your career where you're like, I'm good. Like,
what you should
I'm
do,
good.
If this is on YouTube, put a link down below to the old one.
Yeah.
If anyone's got to this point, go listen to the old one. Have a listen to what I said, because I'd actually be very curious to my mindset on that one. It'd be very similar.
I can like sit here picturing you saying like it was like the beginning-ish, middle of grind mode. That's what I remember, because you're like, you got to get after. I'm going X amount of days, and now it's like contemplative Pestilys. It's like, all right, I've done this. I've climbed the mountain, and here we are. Which is, as we wrap this up, I want you to. So there's a million people out there that are, you know, that want to stream on Twitch, and you've given them, hey, here's the different levels, but everything you've done, everything you've learned, if you could boil it down to one executable thing and be like, look, if you do this or find a way to do this consistently, it will not guarantee your success, but increase your chances of being successful based on things you've done. What would you tell that person listening that's hanging on to what you're about to say right here?
I'm going to put it to time management. Be the most effective you can with the time that you have, and this is for life as well. There's so many people out there. I'll see they're building up their stream. They'll be like tweeting about, oh, this is not working, or I haven't made partner, or whatever. This is crap. Like, you know, X amount of attempts at being partner, or that literally took you time to write that tweet, and then not only do that, like you were replying to other people's tweets, or, you know, like. Think of how important your time is on this world, and then on this planet, and then how you can use that most effectively. Is it to make YouTube videos? Is it to stream more? Is it to just go and put my feet up and read a book, looking at the ocean for an hour or two to de-stress? So then when I do my next stream, I'm right in the zone. Like, work out the best way for you to maintain the highest level content quality, and always striving to do better, because the second you start wasting time, you know, you don't get that time back. You know, like I deliberately put myself in a position by working really hard, being very good with my time. So then when if Tarkov was to blow up, I'd be the guy to go with it. And then, you know, all that other stuff to go along with that. So time management is really the most important thing you can do. Outsource when you can, and be the best person you can be.
So, I mean, that's tremendous advice. I got to dig just one step deeper before we end it. What are some things you do to make sure you stay on task, or that you're not wasting time, that maybe you overlook and don't look at it as like, because it's part of your habit? Like, are there certain things you do to keep on task?
I don't really know,
military
man.
background. I mean, your military back, does that play into it?
I suppose it would a little bit. It's just time efficiency, really. It comes down to just know what you're good at, and then do the best stuff of that you can. But it's also like, how do I do that even faster or better? You know, I spoke about it very briefly earlier, but I probably could have taken on editors 12 months into my streaming career. Like, I should have done that ages before, and then I probably had a more successful YouTube YouTube channel than I do now. Time management, like that's time I spent I could have been sleeping or spending time with my wife or doing anything else, but instead I was making YouTube videos till the wee hours of the morning when I could have just had an editor, made a little bit less money initially, but it probably would have made me more money later on anyway, because that fancy new equipment won't make your stream better, but it might make it look a little bit better, but it's not going to make you grow any faster. Don't be afraid to invest a bit of money into actually your own stream. It's a business at the end of the day.
Got it. All right, Pastelly, as we wrap things up, number one, I want to thank you. I know you're very busy, but I appreciate you coming on and really, I mean, I have pages of notes here, and I just think it's going to help a lot of people. And if nothing more, I mean, you definitely helped me. And I love talking to you because we share a similar mindset in terms of, all right, here's what you want, find a way to get it, but also be self-aware along the way. And for people that are listening and like, hey, I like this guy, can you tell people where to find you and when they can find you online?
Just Google Pestily, the YouTube, the Twitch, the Instagram, all there. Twitter. Actually, Instagram, this is Pestily, but yeah. And make sure you go give Dan love. If you first time listening here, he's a really cool dude. He's helped me out a lot. He's a really nice guy.
I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure working with you, man.
And first fishing stream when? When can we tune into that? Where roughly?
I think it's in about 48 hours time, so about 2 days time. But there's going to be weekly on Twitch. Once it's all set up, it'll be weekly on Twitch. I'm so
excited. Okay, is there final question? Is there like a fish that you would love to catch on stream? Like
I want to catch a fish that's bigger than me. All right, just once.
Okay,
bigger than me, a big old tuna or something like like. But I don't want to keep it. Like I'll keep fish to cook for the dinner that night. But besides that, I was going to put it all back. It's just about the fun. But like, yeah, one day I want to catch a fish that's bigger than me, and then be like, whoop, time to go. I don't really care what that is.
I'm super happy for your success, and thank you for sharing everything you did, man. I know a lot of people enjoy this. It's going to help a lot of people. And as always, man, I just appreciate our friendship and able to bounce ideas off of it. And thanks so much for coming on, man.
You're a legend. Thanks so much, man.
Dude, thank you.